Hi y'all, another session sharing worship song with you guys. Today I have a song titled called Promises by Maverick City, published in 2020. The lyrics goes, faithful through the ages, God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, the faithful promises, time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you said. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I remain steadfast. And let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. God, from age to age, through the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He never let me down. It's a power song as usual. I so good. It's like God tell us to worship Him with a new song. So I'm such a blessing to have all these folks come up with new words to express who God is and to show our devotion and our faith and to worship God. So it's a wonderful song. As usual, before we worship, I also want to read to you, to me, to everybody, Ezekiel 16. Ezekiel 16. Ezekiel 16. It's going to be a hard one to read. It is, but I encourage you to read it because God spoke and He speak and it's kind of sum up the history of Israelites. In a brief history, we all know that God chose Abraham. Out of Abraham came Jacob and Isaac and Jacob, and come from Jacob the 12 tribe of Israelites, God chosen people. He rescued them from Egypt for being slave. He bring them out to the wilderness. They were there for 40 years and they finally crossed over to promised land. Right before they're about to cross, God gave them a lot of regulations and rules through Moses and the 10 covenants, right? God tell them, you should not have any other God before me, right? For example, one of the top covenant. He also commanded the 12 tribes should not just chill. Before every tribe get the promised land, everybody should be fighting for that tribe. He command them, even though you might find your land and secure it, but if your brothers haven't, go fight with them, right? So they did that. They fight for each other, they support each other, and now everybody's settled into your own territory as given, right, by the numbers and as divided by, is that after Moses was Joshua, right? Is it Joshua? Yes. Yeah, Joshua. So they divided in the land. Now, as time passed by, we can see there were a lot of judges, right? They have to wage war. Every time they seek the Lord fight for them and they win. And it's like, wow, the God of Israel is the true God. He fight for His people. And you can see there throughout the judges, you will see that the ups and downs of Israel and the ability or inability to follow God's commandments. As they live, right, they become people, and then I think it split between the north part of Israel, then south part of Judah, right, split. And then Samuel, you can hear the first prophet Samuel again, and then they want king. So first time ever, right, just like, we don't want prophet, we don't want to be judged by judges, we want king like other people. So Samuel anointed Saul as the first king. We all know how that go. And then we were introduced to King David, that he's the man after God's own heart. Not that he doesn't sin, but his heart was always with God. He have a humble heart, right? And he is in sync with God. And his character, it's very... David's character is, first of all, he's a warrior. He's a great warrior. Second of all, he knew how to love, right? He was devoted to Jonathan, and he reached out to his son, to Jonathan's son, to bless him. So after even King David, come the fall, the rise and fall of Solomon, the richest king. Solomon have 1,000 wives. And yes, Solomon built God's temple. Solomon was the richest, the wisest, the richest, very famous king. But then, he married these non-Israelites, and his wives also persuade him to worship other gods, and he ended up worshiping every other gods that his wife worshipped. So God was very angry. Since Solomon, you can see the kingdom and the Israelites, the 12 tribal Israelites, instead of being sitting at one, fighting each other, they start fighting each other. You will see the first time that the Judah and Israel fight. They, at one point, they think Judah team up with another kingdom, and then Israel team up with another king, so that they can fight. You can see the division is awful. And the kings are awful. Up and down. You can see who's evil, who's righteous. I'm sure there's very few kings who do what God's asked to do. One of the few kings who did that was Jehu, right? He found the scroll, he repented, he tell everybody to be right with God again. He read the scroll out loud, right? The kings are up and down, but still, at one point, God just have enough. God just have enough with his people. So he promised, like, you will be exiled out of the promised land. So that's what happened to what the second kings, right? Babylonian capture them and basically exile everybody out of the promised land, Israel. Only the very poor people left behind to take care of the vineyard. Now, giving you the whole history, before I jump on Ezekiel chapter 16, but just giving you the context of it. And when you read Ezekiel 16, it's going to be hard to read. But basically, Ezekiel is a prophet. He is analogy he is using to describe Israelites as unfaithful wife. Right? So I invite you, if you never read Ezekiel chapter 16 before, read it. And underline, question mark, ask God things that you don't understand. But today, I won't read the entire chapter of 16, but want to highlight a couple of things that what God say of his people. And the end of the whole craziness of exile. What is the next plan for God? Because we know God is very faithful God, right? His covenant, he's not going to cancel his own word. So he will stood by his word. He will extend his covenant. But let's just read a couple verses. Right, so this is Ezekiel chapter 16. God was telling, how he had loved and chose his people, Israelites, right? And in verse 8, he said, and when I passed by again, I saw that you were old enough for love. So I wrapped my cloak around you to cover your nakedness and declare my marriage vows. I made a covenant with you, say the sovereign Lord, and you became mine. Then I bathed you and washed off your blood, and I rubbed fragrant oils into your skin. I give you expensive clothing of fine linen, skilled, beautifully embroidered, and sandals made of fine goatskin leather. I give you lovely jewelry, bracelets, beautiful necklace, a ring for your nose, earring for your ears, a lovely crown for your head. And so you were adorned with gold and silver. Your clothes were made of fine linen and costly fabric and were beautifully embroidered. You ate the finest food, choice of flour, honey, and olive oil, and become more and more beautiful than ever. You look like a queen, and so you were. Your fame soon spread throughout the world because of your beauty. I dressed you in my splendor and perfected your beauty, says the sovereign Lord. You see, God said, I chose you. I give you the land. I fed you. I give you prosperity. I give you peace. Solomon, king, asked for wisdom, and he loved the Lord then. And God gave him the wisdom. People were all over the neighboring country would come consult him. Every year, King Solomon ended up giving 25 tons of gold. Every year. If you read it in, I'm sure, 2 King. Somewhere in 2 King. Let me show you how rich King Solomon was. Solomon. Oh, come on, Solomon. No. It was 2 Samuel. David military. I forgot where it is. I can't find it now. But trust me, King Solomon got literally 25 tons of gold. Because people come to worship him. There you go. Found it. 1 King chapter 10 verse 14. Each year Solomon received about 25 tons of gold. This does not include the additional revenue he received from merchant and trader, all kings of Arabia, and the governor of the land. Right? Israel at one point under King Solomon so prosper. Right? God saying, I called you, Jerusalem, Israelites. I chose you, and you become famous. You're beautiful. You have all this treasure. You eat the good food, the best food. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 15. It's continued. God said, but you, though your fame and beauty were, but you thought your fame and beauty were your own. So you give yourself as prostitute to every man who came along. Basically, at one point, Israelites became arrogant and they think all this thing that they have is because of themselves. And then what happened? It's like prostitutes. Prostitute is unfaithful, right? Solomon loved the Lord in the beginning. Absolutely. He loved the Lord. Solomon loved the Lord. You can see that. 1 Samuel chapter 10, right? Earlier we said. Where is 1 Samuel chapter 10? 2 Samuel? Sorry, 2 Samuel chapter 10. Where is it? Mother, no, you know that your sermon is likely your sermon. David prays for thank. Come on, I know I saw it. David's kindness, okay. Oh, maybe it's. Where is it? I will just read the second time. Oh, Maybe 1 Kings chapter 10. I'm going crazy, folks. 1 second. 1 Kings chapter 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Right. Right. It was 1 Kings chapter 10, that verse 14, where we got, King Solomon. Okay. Where is it? Solomon loved the Lord. At one point, yes, soaring. Anyhow, sorry for killing, wasting a lot of your time. But what I was trying to say is, we know the history of Israel. They're the richest, so beautiful. And now God's saying, but you thought all this is your own. But you thought your fame and beauty were your own. So you give yourself as prostitute to every man who came along. Basically, after they become so famous and beautiful and rich and comfort, they think they become disloyal to God. They can't love God only. They start loving other gods from the neighboring country, especially King Solomon, who had 1,000 wives. He worshipped all the gods. So that's really angered the Lord, right? So God is reflecting, right? God is reflecting on what Israel has done so far. And what is it said? Continue, Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 30. What a sick heart you have, say the sovereign Lord, to do such things as these, acting like a shameless prostitute. Why did you just go away from me? Why is your heart doesn't love me? I love you that much and you betray my love. That's what God is saying. So eager for your sin that you have not even demanded payment. They just start, King Solomon start making temples and all the thing for other gods too. Right now, he leading all the Israelites to make temple for other gods. Right? Continue. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 37. This is what I'm going to do. I will gather together all your allies, and I will strip you naked in front of them so they can stare at you. I will punish you for your murder and adultery. I will cover you with blood in my jealous fury. Then I will give you to these many nations who are your lover, and they will destroy you. God is saying, I have enough. You cheated me with these other gods. I will bring all those other nations, and they will strip you away. They will destroy you. They will knock down your pagan shrine and the altar of your idols. They will strip you and your beautiful jewels, leaving you naked. They will band together in mob to stone you and cut you up with sword. They will burn your homes and punish you in front of many women. I will stop your prostitution and your payments to your many lovers. It is scary. God is angry. God is angry with his people. And he gave them so many chances, so many kings, so many prophets come along. They wouldn't listen, including Ezekiel. Right? But then, the end, what did God say? Verse 42. Then, at last, my fury against you will be spent, and my jealous anger will subside. I will be calm and will not be angry with you anymore. But first, because you have not remembered your youth, but have angered me by doing all these evil things, I will fully repay you for all of your sins, say the sovereign Lord. It's not going to be a continuation of God's fury. It will end. It will end. But someday, right, God also continues, I will restore, verse 53, I will restore the fortune of Sodom and Samaria, and I will restore you too. Then you will be truly ashamed of everything you have done, for your sins make them feel good in comparison. I will restore you, Israel. You're going to suffer because I'm angry with what you've been doing. But don't worry, I will restore you. Continue in verse 59. Now this is what the sovereign Lord said, I will give you what you deserve, for you have taken your solemn vows lightly by breaking your covenant. Yet I will remember the covenant I make with you when you were young, and I will establish everlasting covenant with you. Then you will remember the shame, all the evil you've done. I will make your sister Samaria and Sodom to be your daughters, even though they are not part of our covenant. And I will reaffirm my covenant with you, and you will know that I am the Lord. You will remember your sins and cover your mouth in silence and shame when I forgive you of all that you've done. I, sovereign Lord, have spoken. God said, I'm going to punish you. I will deal with you. You're going to reap your consequences of worshiping other gods. I am a judge and holy God, and you have blasphemed me in all possible ways, generations after generations. I will use the other nation who God you worship, and they're going to come and destroy you. But at the end of the day, I will still restore you. I will restore your wealth. My covenant with you will be everlasting. I will restore a new covenant that will be everlasting. So folks, if I know it's hard to read, but God is not the God that we just read things that is encourage us in only New Testament. We have to learn from the entire Bible, including the Old Testament. What Jesus and what God is not what we feel comfortable reading. God, I am who I am. God says so. If we love him, we have to see who he is and how he deal with us. Not to diminish the fact that now we are in salvation, we are atoned for. But that shouldn't stop us from reading and studying, seeing in the past. Because the Israelites and the conditions of a human's heart is the same. Even until these days. How many other worship idols that we worship? We even have K-pop and bands that we say idol. We call Instagram as influencer. We worship so many things but God. Our hearts are so devoted. Anything but God. Even a God has been so faithful and loving, patiently waiting for us. And we won't get punished as severely as Israel, because if you say you believe in God, you're atoned for, but that should break your heart. If you love God, you will do what please him. You will worship him. You will seek after him. You will obey him, because that's what love does. If you love me, you will obey my commandments. And it broke my heart. Even on Wednesday, Trump said, I love you. I actually ended up watching the entire close to 5 hours of that gathering of Save America. Because I want to understand what these people are all about. A lot of people come up on the stage. They have their own agenda. These people love it. I feel like it's like, they really love. I think it's just energy out of human energy when you see people coming together. Trump, love, patriotism, country. You see that as energizing the people. It feels good. It's just like fire. It's like a passion. And you can quench it easily with anything else. But again, it breaks my heart because these people are saying love. God, God teach us to love one another. But you know what love is, because God show you what love is. Love is dying to yourself. Love is strip yourself of everything and surrender and look out for the enemy and your neighbor. That's what love is. Look at Jesus. He loved us so much. He died for us. The love of God is not what we carry out to be, folks. And Trump said he loved, like, I love you. No, don't. Now. If Trump loved you, he will put you first. He will put you first. He have 4 years to really change policy and shape things and move the economy for those people who love him. Those people love him. I'm sure they have to find money and train ticket and plane tickets and coordinations, and they have to gather together. That's devotion. They really devote themselves to Trump. I don't doubt that they don't love Trump. I'm sure they love Trump. And love, I mean, guys, that's why we have to know when people claim the Christianity, when people claim the word of love, we have to know better if it's true love or not. Because it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible, guys. If we say we are Christian and Christ follower, we cannot let political party divide us. Jesus is above and beyond black and blue or red and white. Come on. We're all going to be able to account to God one day. Rid of our egos, rid of our pride, unite under love that God said love. Don't let other people come manipulate you. Come lure you to a different, that is not the true love that God teach us about. Come on. If you say you love God, if you say you're a man of God and woman of God, and you say you fear the Lord, come on. Back on your knees. Pray to God and say, God, I want to love the real thing. Teach me. Don't let politicians come fool you. Doesn't matter if it's Democrats or Republican. Don't matter. Humans are human. Come on. Put our faith in God and obey what He said. Love one another. Die to ourselves. Right? So even the Old Testament and Ezekiel will tell God is a righteous God. He sees everything. So you can't lie from Him. God will look straight through your hearts. God looks straight through your hearts and He will see it. So let's worship God. Let's bow to our knees and declare God is a faithful God. And we really have to sharpen. God wants us to know His heart and His will so much. Sorry for getting passionate, but I need to surrender myself too. No human anger will produce the righteousness that God desires. So all the frustrations and angers and hurts are legit. But at the end of the day, we have to learn how to surrender to God. Because He is a judge God. He's a loving God. He's a faithful God. His mercy go forever and ever. Beyond our own understanding. So let's worship God. Faithful through the ages, God of Abraham, the God of covenant, faithful promises, yeah. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you said. Do the storms may come and the winds may blow, I will reign steadfast. Let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun and the setting same, I will praise your name. From the rising sun and the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. to age, till the earth will pass away, your word remain the same. Yeah, your history can prove nothing you can do, your faithfulness and true. Till the storms may come and the winds may blow, you remain steadfast. And let my heart learn, when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising suns and the setting, when I will praise your name. From the rising sun and the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, mine hope and firm foundations. He never lets me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, mine hope and firm foundations. He never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun and the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness